I am getting so many questions now, guys, from people asking, should I wait for mortgage rates to drop before I buy a house in Orlando, in Central Florida? And it's, as you probably know, it's a really, really common question everywhere people talk about. Well, I want to address that. Um, this is so important right now. I just recently made a video on whether or not the Orlando housing market will crash. It's not going to. And when I made that just yesterday, I've had so many comments from people texting and emailing saying, yeah, but interest rates are still really high. Shouldn't I wait? So I just wanted to make a quick video to talk about that. I don't have a script for that today, but I just want to bring up some charts and just to explain a few concepts for you. So we're going to do that today, so stay tuned. Hi, it's David Dowell again, real estate broker and real estate attorney. As I said, just want to follow up really with my last video because I'm getting a lot of response about mortgage rates. And as I said, I don't have a scripted little video to do today. I just want to chat a little bit. But everybody's saying, I shouldn't buy right now because mortgage rates are so high. And my response, and most people who understand the market, says, well, that's not the right thing to do. Let me explain to you why. Orlando in Central Florida is one of the strongest housing markets in the world. Not just because of what it's doing right now, but it's done this for years, years and years. If you go back like 75 years and you divide every 5 years into a little segment, there's only been twice in history where property values here in Central Florida have dropped during a 5-year period. So they keep going up, up, up. Similar to a stock market, but without the big crashes we've had there. So real estate it's a limited asset. And Central Florida is an incredibly high demand area. We have so many people now coming to Florida, especially over those last couple of years, with all the problems you're having in New York, Northeast, California, taxes, crime. Everybody's coming to Florida, and it keeps these prices really, really high. So we see that as going to continue. We have such a solid market here in Florida. And it doesn't matter what the interest rates are. Your house values are going to continue going up. Now remember, real estate works in cycles. So there are times where it's not going to be going up. But we typically don't see the bust here in Central Florida. Like right now, we're seeing a slowing of the growth in the market, but it's temporary. That's part of the cycle, and it's healthy. I tell people all the time they're worried about what they're paying for a mortgage. And they say, well, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait to buy a house when the mortgage rates drop. But my response to them is this, and they've never heard it from anybody else. I tell them, if you find the house you really, really like, you like Florida, you like the lifestyle, buy that house. Because if you're waiting for mortgage rates to drop, and they probably will a little bit, but here's what's going to happen. As soon as the mortgage rates drop, house prices are going to start shooting through the roof again. It happens all the time here in Orlando. Now, I want to bring up a couple of charts just to kind of show you what's happened here in Orlando over the last 6-7 years. Here on the screen is a chart. This is the Orlando area median home price over the past 5 years. Now, you can see back in 2019, the average price was about $240,000. Now, this is all of Orlando, folks, and if you break down any particular neighborhood, the graph is going to be the same shape pretty much. But you can see how it just went up, 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 up. And then, post-COVID, we had that little boom, but then recently, it hasn't crashed. It's been very, very stable. Now, if you look at this graph like this for New York or California or any other state, you're probably going to see something very different. But housing prices are always pretty stable here. Now let me show you one other graph I pulled up. This is it's got the same Orlando median house price, but it's also in red. This is the 30-year mortgage rates. And if you look at it, I mean, with the exception of the COVID era, where it kind of fluctuated a lot, but post-COVID, it's pretty much mirrored house values. So as the mortgages are going up, so are the house values. And as mortgages start to come down, you can see house prices have stalled a little bit. But this is pretty typical here, guys. Mortgage rates alone, in my opinion, are not something you want to make your decision to buy a house on. And I want to bring up one other chart here. This is the housing supply here in Orlando. Now, one of the reasons things were tight back in 2020, COVID, there wasn't really just a lot on the market. Right at COVID, post-COVID, it was really a seller's market because there were so many buyers out there wanting to buy and not enough houses. But you can see how that's now turned around. Inventory is going up, and even though in orange there, January 2026, it says it's a buyer's market, I would still consider it a fairly balanced market. But that's what we're seeing. You're in a very, very good time to purchase if you're looking to do so here in Central Florida. So my advice to you is just don't worry about mortgage rates as much as most people do. We're spoiled. You know, we think a 6% mortgage rate is bad because we're comparing it to the good old days, right? Where people used to have 1.5%, 2% back in 2005, 6. Well, how'd that work out? It crashed and banks went bankrupt. But typically rates, if you're in the 4 to 6.5, that's pretty good. It's just like you said, we're spoiled because in the past we've had it so low. But your house value is pretty much in Central Florida and Orlando area going to stay and increase substantially. History has shown that. So all I'm telling you is don't pay attention totally to interest rates. They're important. You want to save money. I get it. But don't put off your house buying because the rates are where they are right now. All right, guys, like I said, when they drop, housing prices are going to start to shoot up. Here in Central Florida, unlike other parts of the country, we have a really solid economy, strong housing market. It's always been that way. We've got strong domestic market. We got international residents or internationals coming in buying. So there couldn't be a better place to invest, either your primary house or your secondary investment house. So give it some thought. If you're still thinking about buying or selling here in Central Florida, feel free to reach out if you want. Text, email me. I'm happy to discuss with you my personal real estate and legal opinion as to what's going on now and in the future. I'd be happy to have that conversation. Thank you for joining me and have a fantastic day.